Okay, self opinion enslavement. So noticed a few things. My my pattern recognition sort of thing, and there's a similar energy that I see in a lot of dudes in this gym who are what I would call polar opposites. There are guys who are lacking in any type of confidence when it comes to who they are, how they look. And then there are guys who are obsessive about their training, and they won't miss a training session, and they'll push themselves as hard as they can, and they will stick with their diets, and they're in phenomenal shape, and it's like always pushing morning day. It's always pushing themselves to that level, that how far can I go? And both of these groups are suffering from a similar disposition, shall we say, in that their identities and who they are is based upon their action or lack of action. The guys who are out of shape, who are unhappy with how they look, move and feel, their opinion of themselves is creating this enslavement within their own minds that prevents them from pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, from reaching further than is comfortable. And then you've got these other guys who are in the gym 5 days a week, weighing their food out, absolute regimented in their training and their numbers and what they have to achieve. And again, they're enslavement, they're self-imposed enslavement, because if they don't get the exercise, if something comes about to prevent them from doing what they feel they need, they go into shutdown. And this society seems very much built upon these two factions, and we need to get ourselves more centered. I have, probably all know my last 4 weeks, but I have purposely backed off training completely. I've done a few reps here and there, literally, like 2 sets of 10 with a lat pull down and a bench press, dumbbell benches, or a few sets of squats and hip thrusts, literally nothing. Because emotionally I'm not there, mentally my head's not in it. And I know that physically I will end up in a worse place through injury. And it's that, I've got this ability now to recognize when exercise is good, when I'm exercising to feel good, when I'm exercising to distract myself, and when I'm exercising as punishment. And there's a lot of people, the awareness isn't there. A lot of people are just doing exercise because it's almost like an addiction. It's a form of self-punishment. It's an identity now. And they've literally become slaves to what they do. If they miss a training session, their mood dips, their energy drops. They start chastising themselves. They don't feel worthy. And I see loads of guys like this. There's loads of guys I know, and girls, that I know who were obese maybe 20 years ago and are now in phenomenal shape. But their mental state is the same. What they've done is they've swapped an addiction. So an addiction of food, which is detrimental to your body, obviously the amount of processed foods we eat, and they've switched it to exercise. And yes, they look better for it, and they're healthier and fitter for it. But the emotional and the mental state they're in isn't healthy at all. And this is what the fitness industry is allowing a lot of people to do. The fitness industry facilitates a lot of mental illness, a lot of mental health issues, because we praise people for their effort. Those people who've got the six packs and looking good and they can present that Instagram body, we admire that and we praise them for it, and we appreciate their dedication and their discipline. But what we don't ask is it an obsession? Is it healthy? Is there balance in their life? If you can't go a week without training, and you train regularly, I'm not talking about a guy who's not trained before, I'm talking about if you've been training regularly consistently for a year, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, are you able to go a week, 2 weeks, a month without exercise and not feel like your world's imploding? I know a lot of people can't. I know a lot of people who look amazing. Their bodies are phenomenal shape. The way they eat, you'd be admired and you'd praise them because it's exactly how you should eat. But they're not doing it from a connective perspective. They are doing it as a way to avoid whatever it is that's still holding them back. Exercise has become the addiction. And this is a big problem. And it's not really addressed because exercise is seen as a great way of helping the mindset and helping you feel better about yourself, which is absolutely true. But it's not true if we are using it as a way to avoid going to places we need to be. Exercise is one part of the training trinity. And if your training trinity is not, and I always say the emotional is the bottom of the triangle, so it's an equilateral triangle, and the emotion is the bottom base. That's the foundational part of the triangle, and then you've got the mental and the physical running up to the peak, to the point. And if you want to divide it into three, it would be emotional, mental, then the physical. And if you don't get it in that order, this is my opinion, by the way, if you don't get it in this order, you will be out of balance. And you can see it because there's people there who look fucking amazing, but that's all they're focused on. And they haven't got a great mental game because it's all about punishment. And emotionally, they're literally emotionally retarded. Some of them, they're just so angry, so insecure, so frustrated. So their nervous system's out of whack. Equilibrium, that's a good word, thank you. Their nervous system is completely out of whack because of whatever's happened to them. And they've just found a way to have a socially accepted addiction. And you can see it. And we can see how this is manipulated throughout the fitness industry and how we have attached a certain look to our physical appearances and how that's praised and how we chase that so much, how that's the aim for everyone, when the reality is the aim should be balance. Exercise should be a tool, but exercise has become the focus. And if you don't recognize this, if you're not able to look at yourself and evaluate what you're doing from an objective perspective, you're probably somewhere out of whack. Something's out of whack within you, you know. I don't know, I'm recognizing where I am emotionally at the moment and mentally. And I know that's stress. So there's enough stress in my life right now that I'm able to go, I don't need more stress. I don't need to put my body under more physical stress because mentally I'm exhausted and emotionally I'm drained. So I need to balance myself. I need to allow myself the space to sort this out. And that means that I don't punish myself physically. Now I'll go down and do some mats. I'll go on the mats and I'll roll about and I'll just move and I'll maybe a bit of a grapple or some techniques on the grappling dummy. But there's no exercise being done. It's very intuitive. This feels good, therefore I'll do it. And I think that's something that needs to be examined more in the fitness industry. It's something that I've definitely done my programming because I was very regimented in my programming, so you've been going, okay, let's test your 1RM. Your 1RM's 100. We're going to work at 70%. So we're going to work 70%, 70 has a 5, 70%, the 5 has a 5, and then we're going to add 5%, and we're going to go up to 80%, then we'll drop back to 75%, and we'll go 80, 85. And I had all this mathematical equations because lifting is very mathematical, especially when you're in the elite levels, when you're training for an actual purpose, when your goal is like a powerlifting meet or something that requires you to reach a certain target, you will need to figure out in your head where you need to be and what lifts you need to do and what percentage of your 1RM you need to be lifting at to allow this 12-week program. And you would start off, so if I'm 100 kg deadlift, let's say, and I wanted to get the 110 kg, I would start at 110 kg and I'd work my way backwards for 12 weeks and I'd be doing like 3%, 5%, 7% incremental loads. So it's an awful lot of mathematical equation that most men and women don't need. But the fitness industry, the trainers, we do need that for our own ego. The fitness industry is a microcosm of trauma that is a representative of the macrocosm of society. The fitness industry, I've said this many times, the word experts today is just thrown around and it's been given an energy, it's been given a bit of respect if you're an expert. But an expert, what is an expert? An expert is just the social media or the mainstream media say, this one's an expert. So you're an expert, now you get validation, now you get a platform to be listened to. And men my age are putting boys, girls in their early 20s, even teens, mid-20s, late 20s, as experts because they are qualified as personal trainers. You're not an expert when you're a qualified personal trainer. You have reached the bare minimum. What you've done is you've shown that you can articulate this structure, this syllabus. You can reach that person, and that's it. It's like I use the example, doctors, we call doctors or experts, but in those field of doctors, there was a doctor who finished top of the class and there's a doctor who finished bottom of the class, and we don't know where our doctors finished in their school system, but we just call them doctors because they all reach the bare minimum requirements. But like anything in life, and you can apply this to every job you ever did, whether it be motherhood or a fucking corporation or whatever. You come in at the basic level, and then life and time elevates you to an expert level. But you don't just get the right to call yourself an expert or be labelled an expert because you've reached the bare minimum level to allow yourself to be qualified. For example, I am not a qualified personal trainer. Never done a PT course in my life. Done kettlebell courses, done certifications for teaching kettlebells back 15 years ago, but I never done a personal trainer course in life, but yet there's personal trainers come to me to learn how to be a personal trainer because life has made me an expert. Probably about 30 or 40,000 hours of coaching, face-to-face, groups training, massive groups, small groups, one-to-ones, has made me an expert because it's forced me to adapt and think on my feet and become better at that. And then as you get better and as you get more comfortable in what you're doing, you relax into it and you see things not as stress but as opportunities. And then it's like a challenge, and then it's like, oh, here, fuck, there's an idea. And I'm at the point where I'll see a coach do something and I'll just go, oh, I know what I can do with that, because I've had so much experience that I can take a technique or something that someone's doing and apply it to a completely different concept because the principle of what they're doing remains the same. And that's when you get to a certain point in coaching where you don't have to think about it. It just becomes second nature. It becomes, without even thinking, you will just do something or you'll say something or you'll see something and you'll know how to fix it. And it's this, we are putting too much emphasis on the coaches and their qualifications, and we have been conditioned to believe that the more certificates we have on a wall, the better we are. All that means in the fitness industry is that you have paid a certain amount of money to do a course over a weekend, and they've given you a bit of paper for it. You've reached the minimum requirement. That's it. Doesn't mean you're a great coach. It means you can express what the syllabus required. It doesn't mean you have an understanding of it. Doesn't mean you can articulate to others. It doesn't mean that on your own, in your own environment, that you've got this ability to do it. And we've got a lot of coaches desperate to give the clients the results that they're promising. And as such, they make coaching more complicated than it should be, than it needs to be, because they need to elevate themselves as the expert. So they will speak to the clients, you know, this is your infraspinatus, your scala, blah, 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 and just using all these big words, and, you know, like the undulating wave cycle, we're going to do, you know, it's words that may make sense to another coach. Another coach might go, he might know what he's talking about, or it seems to, but the client doesn't. And this was a mistake, and I'm only talking about, this is only from experience that I used to do, so I'm not judging anyone, this is what I used to do as well. I recognize it, so I can see it, I've done it. The lack of confidence that so many coaches have in their own abilities means that they tend to do things that, or say things, or articulate things in a way that's over the head of the client and doesn't actually help them connect. There comes a point in your coaching career when you've had it long enough where you recognize this, or you should recognize this, and you then no longer need to use the big words, and you no longer, like a hinge pattern. I just tell guys, stick your ass back and try to touch the wall behind you, let your knees go soft. Do they need to know what a hinge pattern is? Not really. It's a hinge, okay, that's a hinge, by the way, you call that a hinge. And then that movement there will cross over to deadlift and Romanian deadlift and kettlebell swing and hip thrust. You'll tell them it's a pattern, it's a hinge pattern, but you don't need to, they don't need to know unless they ask. Because all the client wants to know is this going to make me lose weight? Is this going to help me build muscle? Am I going to feel more confident? If you can answer those questions, that's all they're after. But as a coach, as a young guy, as someone who's maybe just stepped foot in the industry and you want to establish yourself, you've got a gym, you've got the dream of building the big gym, and you've got this dream of being like a six-figure business and all this bollocks that the fucking fitness industry pushes on everyone. It forces these insecure boys and girls to speak in a language that doesn't resonate with the people they're training. I've went from, my starting point was professional athletes. And most people start as like, you know, like the average Joes, and then work their way up to the professional fighters and the athletes, etc., footballers. Whereas I done the other way, because I was an MMA fighter and because my job, the only reason I got into this fitness industry was because I needed to learn how to coach fighters. I did go in balls deep into the programming and the understanding and because I needed to, remember I was dealing with weight categories. So my fighter was fighting 66 kilo. I need to get him as strong as possible at 66 kilo without putting the weight on him. So I had to learn what's the difference between hypertrophy and strength training and, you know, all these things that had to happen. So I brought that into my training, and I realized as I started coaching normies that the language I was using wasn't resonating, and it was actually confusing them, and it was putting people off. You have to learn to meet people where they're at. And the only way you can meet people where they're at is when you've got enough tools in the toolbox to allow yourself to be able to articulate your message in a way that's understood. And the fitness industry today, start watching this, start noticing this. Whatever the influencers start talking about, the big influencers start talking the new trends, and watch how the fitness industry just falls into place and they all follow. High rocks you call it? That new thing out that's like CrossFit for the masses. That's the new thing. And everyone's now jumping on the High Rocks bandwagon, and they're all paying like a franchise fee so they can be a High Rocks gym, so they can start this community bollocks, and fucking everyone goes high five and take this their friendly sweaty selfies and all, and look at me, load of balls. Next month is going to be another one, and another year will be another one, another year will be another one. Because I suppose the fitness industry is about making money, isn't it? Not for me. Not for me at all. But for the majority, it's for making money. It's a business that we like to project a story to people that, you know, we've got the community, blah, 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 but it's not. You're looking to get money from them. You're looking to build a business. You're looking to get to be your six-figure business, and that requires. It means that your foundational conversation isn't based. It's commercialism. That's exactly what it is. It isn't based in true, authentic man-to-man, man-to-woman, woman-to-woman conversation. It's more about, I will tell you what you want to hear because I want you to join my gym. And if I want and you join my gym, then I know I've got an extra X amount of money coming every month, and I can future forecast this, and I'm going to get you on a 6-month contract or commitment, blah 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 blah. And there's very. For me, it seems to be like the gyms that talk about having such a strong community, always are the ones that need 10 men from this area to want to lose a bit of weight, and they seem to have a high churn rate. And that indicates to me that there's not a community there. You know, I don't have a massive amount of numbers. I think I've got about 70 members, but my members have been here for 8 years, 7 years, 5 years. They've been here. Most of I'd say 90% of my members don't need to be here. They could go to any global gym they wanted, pay £20 a month or £30, whatever it is, and do better training than 90% of the other people in that gym. So the question I ask myself is, then why are they still here? What is it that I offer that keeps them paying a much higher price than they have to, when they've got the skills and they've got the knowledge and they've got the ability to do these things themselves? There's a community, there's a support network, there's a sense of belonging. What I've done is, organically, is tapped in to the, doing well, thank you, buddy. I have managed to tap into that energy of man and woman, that resonant frequency that we all crave, that connection and belonging that society seems to like to project and talk about, but we don't actually have on a day-to-day basis. And I think that is why I have been able to keep my gyms going for so many years. You know, it's like I must be doing something right to be in this industry. To open my first gym 17 years ago, was it 2007? What's that? 17 years ago, yeah. Nearly 18 years ago, actually. So in all, nearly 18 years, I've owned gyms, and I've always done well with them, and they've always had the similar thing, and I've never once. I'm actually talking to Michael today. I need to start doing it a bit more. I've never once focused on actual money. The money just becomes the byproduct of what you do. But I think it's maybe time I started realizing that I'm going to have to fucking start, because I need to buy myself a house now. So I need to start. You know, it's I've always been happy with what I've got. It's like, Epictetus said that, you know, when you learn to love what you have as much as what you want, you're going to find happiness. And that's what I get. I walk into this gym every day and I look around and I go, yep, you created this yourself. Everything here is sweat equity. You earned every part of this. And that gives me a sense of pride, because it's something that I have built with my own sweat and blood and tears. This gym here, this last 8 years, it has pushed me to discover myself and to become more and to let go of parts of myself that wasn't serving me. And that journey I've been on allows me to feel proud of what I've achieved. And I think that's something this is something that crosses over to everyone. We are, as a society, I think we're conditioned so much to crave the next thing that we never give ourselves credit or allow ourselves permission to just enjoy what it is we have. We've lost this sense of self-satisfaction within ourselves, because society is pushing a story and narrative that we need more. You get the new iPhone 16, you feel great until the iPhone 17 comes out, or the iPhone 16.5, or whatever they're going to bring up, and it's got this one wee different thing, but the advert's so much cooler. Now, this bit of technology that's enslaving you as it is now just... Same as the car. Do you know, you get a new car and it's great until someone gets a new car that's newer. Take the time out to smell the roses. Yes, exactly, Katrina. But there's this, you know, and this is why this is funny enough, this is why I see so many people, this energy and this attitude is, in my opinion, one of the reasons why we're so unhappy. And why people are always seeking out the next gym, the next trainer, the next program, the next coach, the next diet. Because it hasn't worked, that one didn't work, or it didn't work well enough, or it was working, but you've seen someone else who got better results in this gym. Oh my God, maybe I'll get that there. And there's no understanding in people that you are the fucking reason it happens or not. Not the coach, not the gym, not the trainer, not the program, not the diet. It's you, your attitude. I could get you into the best fucking shape of your life just doing bodyweight squats, push-ups, pull-ups, and eating a McDonald's every day. I can get you a six-pack doing that. Would you be healthy? No. Would you be happy? No. Would you be in great shape? But we've allowed ourselves to get that point where the diet's given a name, the training's given a name, therefore it's given an energy, and we attach ourselves to that. Are you doing CrossFit? Are you doing high rocks? Do you know you're on the keto diet? Are you on the paleo diet? There's all these narrative stories, and you know, if something's got a name, someone's making money from it. And we've been so commercialized and so conditioned into just accepting this as a normal experience that we don't ever give ourselves time to consider, is this right? Is this doing what I want? Am I enjoying this? Is this bringing me to the place I want to be? Or is it just that I have heard this message over and over again on the trending social media posts, on the algorithms pushing up the shit that I'm listening to? So therefore, it's going into my subconscious brain, and it's starting to impact me, and I'm doing this now on on an unconscious level, without even realizing what I'm doing. And I see that a lot. And I see it as the reason why so many people are not achieving where they want to achieve or what they want to achieve. And why they're starting to attach exercise and what they're doing to a chore. Because you're not enjoying it. Do you know, we've got this hierarchy of needs. People, you've got the physical needs. You know, we have got physical needs. We are matter. We are spiritual entities, whatever, but we're having a physical experience. So this is real. I know that if I don't drink water for a week, I'll die, regardless of how much I want to believe in my soul. If this soul wants to remain in the body of Paul Murray, then I need to eat food. I need to drink water. I need to be doing things to nourish the physical body. And you've got like the mental capacity, you need to have a strong mental. You need to know that your mind's working. You know that you're here. And then you've got the emotional needs. Do you know that stems from childhood shit. That's the traumas and the programs you've picked up from childhood. But then we've got the spiritual needs. Now, people balk at this, you know, woo-woo stuff. But for me, when we talk about the spiritual needs, it's like, are you doing the things that makes your soul sing? For me, I love drawing. I'm an artist. When I get into it, I literally did a 30-hour stint where I didn't stop drawing for 30 hours. Didn't go to the toilet, didn't drink water, didn't eat food, didn't move from the chair. The ex-partner, the mother of my kids, went to bed, got up, went to work, came home. I hadn't moved. I was drawing 30 full hours straight without stopping drawing. I was in flow state. I didn't know those 30 hours happened. That's my soul call. I love creating stuff. For me, creativity is something that it's what I was born to do. Now, the creativity could be for me creating this gym, creating a program, creating a community, creating an artist, a drawing or doing a carving, anything. It's not the actual drawing, it's the creative process. It's that connection with something that I can't explain. And we've all got that. We've all got that. There is just something that we all want to do because we want to do it. And it's like, I don't need to tell you why. I don't need you to understand why I need to do this. It's up to you. There's no reason for you to understand it or need to understand it. It's just that this is in me. This is my calling. And this is something I think we all need to be more focused on. And do you know what? It's the key to happiness within us all. And it's the reason why we are distracted through the social media and the fucking narratives that we all buy into. Because that brings us true soulful happiness. When we give ourselves permission to do something that we just love because we love it, and we don't need everyone else's attention for doing it, or we don't need validation, it's the process. Like, I have got probably about, genuinely, 30, maybe 40 paintings or drawings that need about 3 hours work done to it maximum. But I'll probably never finish them, because it's not about the finishing. And that it's not, for me, it's not about the finishing. For me, it's the process of doing. There comes a point in me where I don't need to finish my art, because to me, I can see it as that process of creation is almost done. It's almost over now. It's not really important to me anymore. I can see it in my own head. Oh, right, okay, it's done. I want to do something else. Because it's like, when I draw, it's when you get a line and you draw this line and you just look at that line, you're like, no. And then you start shading it. And you start off with a base layer of shading and you smudge that in. And then you look at the picture you're drawing or the photograph or whatever it is, and you can see just a bit of darkness. There's a different darkness shade here and there's a lighter shade there. And you start bringing it in and then you blend it in. And it's that process of it going from nothing to something. And in my head, I've already seen it. And it's now me just recreating what I see in my mind on the page. And the enjoyment of when I know maybe you don't, but there'll be a point where you'll just get the perfect line. And you just look at it and you go, that's it. And like I've seen myself draw a picture for 15 hours and then rip it up. Fuck, just 15 hours, just ripped it up. Fuck it. And people just go, what'd you do that for? It's like, I couldn't get that line. And then I'll start again. And people can't understand that. Why would you do that? 15 hours of work, why would you rip it up? Like, because it's not about the 15 hours I've spent. It's about the creative process. It's about, it wasn't feeling right, therefore, why waste more time? Rip it up and start again. And that whole process of, let's get this line right and let's get this right, and you can see it building up, that's what I enjoy. And we've all got that in us. Could be anything, yeah. It's like hearing that chord or, yeah, I get it. People who are musicians or singers. Do you know when you watch it, like, one thing I do enjoy watching on TikTok are nobodies who sing. And they've got, do you know what it does for me? You know when someone sings and you just stop and you watch them and their eyes are closed and like they're maybe on stage for the first time, and you've seen it in those X Factor clips and all, and those Britain's Got Talent and all that shit, where this kid will come on or this young girl or boy will come on, they're nervous and they're like, thank you, and then they just go and they hit this note and their eyes close, and then in that moment they are just gone. I'll give you a laugh. There was a show used to be on TV, and I don't know why the fuck this is before Sky and all. It was Davina Call done it. This shows my age. It was then called God's Gift. Now my ex-girlfriend at the time used to love this show, and she would always watch it. I was thinking about 11 o'clock at night or something, and it was the most cheesy, pathetic 1990s sort of show where these guys would go on and they would try to impress women, and the girls would be stand by the guy and they'd be voted off. But there was this, I'll never forget this show. There was this one that Vicky was watching, and it was a gay special, and they were doing the talent thing, and these like I think 30 seconds or 40 seconds, and this guy came on and sang. Like this is what, over a quarter of a century ago. I'll never forget that guy's voice, because he was the most nervous gay fella I've ever seen. But see, when he started singing, he went into this world where you could see he was no longer on stage. He was just absolutely present in that moment. There was no one there. There was no one watching him. He was just singing from his soul. And his voice was amazing. And it went on. They let him sing for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It was beautiful to watch. And we've all seen that. Like the other one you'll see is those kids. You know the guy, the wee African kid does a sing and then some guy will be on above and they're playing the organ, they're making it into a song. But these kids sing from a place that we have forgotten. And that's where happiness is discovered. That's where we find purpose and meaning. And that's where we've lost connection to. And so many of us are going through our lives chasing dreams and chasing goals that we're told we must be from or we must be at in order to be happy. But we're not listening to ourselves. We have been so conditioned to believe the mainstream narrative of whatever's being pushed that we have lost the ability to actually answer our own questions and listen to our own souls and do whatever it is we want to do, regardless of what everyone else says. And it's such a sad thing to see. My daughter, I have never, honestly, the sense of pride that I had so my daughter, I've got Canva. It's like a thing I use for making diagrams and stuff like that for the gym and making programs, PDFs. And I give her my login details because I want her to, she's a wee artist. And I said, listen, you might as well learn digital art. So I got her an iPad and she's drawing. And then she's bringing the Canva, she's doing these things. But I've started her doing beads. So she's making beads and she was selling her bead necklaces and all. And then we moved her paracord, just doing a lot of stitches and different stitches. And now she's making paracord necklaces and dog collars. So this is where it came from. So I said to her, sweetheart, why not just go and start making dog collars? And she made one for Freya. And I showed a few people and they were, God, I want one. So 4 or 5 of the members of the gym wanted one. And then she went on the Canva and she was like a wee business. And she wrote this spiel. This is a proud daddy moment. This was definitely, this is something to me, a bit of ego, definitely. But it gave me a sense of pride that to see that what I'm trying to instill in them is working. Now, and she did it with her own words. It was like I understood the energy and I could see the principles of where she was coming from, but it was her own words. And she wrote this, explain who she is, like, hi, my name's Sive, and it's pronounced S-I-V-E for those who don't speak it, and I'm 10 years old, and I make these beads and collars and dog on it. And she got all these paracord pictures and all this, like stock photos of paracord, and she put the price on $14.99 and the bead necklaces and $6.99, whatever it is. And then she just, at the very end of it, she goes, but remember, I'm only 10 years old and I'm studying for an exam, so it may take me a while to get these done, but I will do this. And I just want you to remember, you're a very special person and you're loved. Have a great day. And my heart, I swear, my heart just exploded with pride because it was just showing me who she is. You know, like to put that in, you're a special, just remember, you are a special person and you are loved. There's something like that. It was beautiful. And I just went to myself, that's the answer. What she said there, the words of a child, humble adults so badly, because as an adult, we, without even realizing, prevent ourselves from expressing the love that children have intrinsically, and it's that love that society's missing. To just have the confidence to write, remember, for no reason, you're a beautiful person and you're loved. Have a wonderful day. That made me smile. And then there was a video put up yesterday. It fucking brought tears to me. As a wee child singing fucking some song. Don't worry about a thing because everything's going to be all right. And he's only about 4. But it's like the essence of children. Their energy. The lack of fakeness that they offer. When they do something, it's done from a place of actual love and truth. You know, there's no, they are not trying to be someone for anyone. They are just being. And that is something that we have lost touch with. As a society, as grown adults, we are so analytical. We have become so enveloped into the science of everything that very few of us are willing to recognize the lessons could be taught from children. The happiness. We are so busy searching for happiness. And we're being told where we will find happiness. So we're searching in the corners, and we're searching over here, and we're searching over there. And we have come so disconnected with what happiness is that we are now at a position where we don't recognize happiness is right in front of our fucking faces. Happiness is found in smiling at a stranger. Happiness is found in that hug with your parents or your children or your friends. It's that when someone asks you, "Are you all right?" and you're able to have an honest conversation, when you feel seen and heard, that's happiness. You know, when you walk into the room and your 5-year-old is singing a wee song on her own, and she's not aware of anyone else, and she's just singing because she wants to sing. You can stand and appreciate that. You can stop for a moment. We have no problem scrolling to find a quote that will express our feelings, or a video that will allow us to ignore stuff. But we don't take the time to appreciate the humanity and the moments that you'll always carry. You know, it's only when you lose people do you recognize the importance of the mundane, the silly conversation. Like, I've got a video. My granda, my hero, he died in 2006, I think it was, and we had a dog with my nanny. My nanny died when I was in Australia in 2004. So 2005, February 2005, we put Towser down. Towser was my granda's dog. He was a border collie. He was like 16. And my nanny had just died the May before, so it was like coming up on a year anniversary. And my granda was living down south. And he phoned me up and said, "Listen, I'm going to put Towser down." And I was like, "Don't do it yet, I'm coming down." He's like, "No, don't worry." He's like, "Granda, I'm coming down right jumped in the car and I drove down. It was down south, Bundoran. Tullahan, actually, near in between Bullockmore and Bundoran. And I drove down. And we were bringing Towser into the car to get him put down. And the phones had just got cameras on them. And I recorded it. And it was just a silly thing he said. He was looking at my car and he goes, "That there should go flush." And that was it. Just that one sentence. "That there should be flush." And then I videoed him walking in with Towser, the vet, and he goes, "Come on, this way." That video, that one wee memory, it was not a big deal, but it was just that one capture. I don't have any other videos of him. And just to be able to hear his voice, and just to be able to see his walk and his gait. And funny enough, like, every dog I've had, it's like, "Come on, this way." I've recognized he's still alive in me. And do you know when, like, you don't, in that moment in time, you don't think there's going to be one day that he won't be here. There's going to be a time when you won't be able to lean on him and ask him a question and talk to him. And we're so caught up in the future, we're so caught up in our past, that we forget that the only thing we have is the present. The past is based on the depressions and the fucking worries. And the future is the anxiety, and the creation of stuff. But the only thing we actually have is the now. And we're so alien to living in the now because we're worried about what we did in the past or what's going to happen in the future, that we don't know how to live. How many of us are truly living? We are told animals go to happy hunting ground, yeah. I think we're all, I think animals are like children. They're our teachers. But we are so arrogant and we're so egotistical. Our need to be right, that it prevents us from seeing the beautiful gift the universe is presenting to us every time we have children or dogs or, children live in the now. They don't care about tomorrow. They're not worrying about yesterday. If a child doesn't want to play a game, it's like, I don't want to play a game anymore, I'm going to play something else. And there's no rules. They haven't been confined by the structures of society that tells us we must do X, Y, and Z. They're like, I'm going to do GLMQP. And you know what? That makes fucking sense to me, so that's what I'm going to do. And that's the way we all should be. But we're not. We're told it needs to be A, B, C, D, E, F, and shit like that. There has to be an order. But kids don't live in order. And because they don't live in order, they learn to just live, actually live. And it saddened me, what I've recognised in myself is that for a long time, I was putting my fears of their future onto them. And it was preventing them from actually being who they're meant to be. And, they've only got 10, maybe 12 years as children. That's it. That's it. And it's that window's getting shorter because of us, because of our inability to allow our children to remain children and experience life as a child, because technological advancements, and we must give them iPads, we must give them iPhones, and they need to have Snapchat, and they're fucking 8. They're 8 years old, and you've got kids walking down the street, 8 years old, talking on WhatsApp and slabbering and fucking, you're like going, why are you not playing football? Why are you not playing with dolls? Why are you not fucking doing mummies and daddies and school teachers and hunting? Because that is what childhood's about. Childhood is about living in the moment, not worrying about the future, not worrying about what people think about you, not giving them this belief that they need to be something other than them. And we are removing our kids' rights to do that. And you know what the scary thing is? None of us know what impact that's going to have. This is unprecedented territory. We have never existed in a time where children are exposed to social media influence at like 8 years old. Like parents giving their kids iPhones at 8 and learning them to have Snapchat or WhatsApp. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we allowing our kids to not live like children? Why are we actively pushing our children's experience away instead of encouraging them, instead of creating a society and an environment where they can be kids? I think back to my childhood. Our children deserve to be children. Our children deserve parents who allow them to experience a similar childhood to us. But we're so focused on the bad experiences of our childhood and the traumas that we had that we tend to forget about the great times. I grew up in the summer holidays in Mullaghmore in a caravan that had a black and white TV that was powered by a car battery that was only allowed to be watched a certain amount of times, and you had like 3 TV channels, and it would go shh. We had gas lights. Sligo, yeah, Mullaghmore. We had gas lights. We didn't even have electricity, and we had no, we didn't have electricity. We didn't have running water. We had to go and fucking. I remember this. Connor and I, you had a big yellow, like, jerry can, but it was plastic. And Connor and I, my cousin, we had to put a stick through it, and we had to walk down an empty canister and then fill this big fucking thing up. And 2 8-year-olds struggle up, carrying it, struggling, the 100 meters back up. We didn't have running water. We didn't have a toilet. We were at the top of the caravan site, and the toilets were down like about 200 meters. And you're fucking walking down in the pitch black, shitting yourself, crapping yourself, going, is there a ghost going to get me or something? Because you're like, the stars right, and there's no lights. But these are experiences that, and you would get up every morning and you'd be allowed to walk onto the beach because it was safe. And I would spend my entire days on the pier fishing or playing, and there was no plan, there was no agenda. There was just doing what we wanted to do, walking over the sand dunes with my granddad with the dog, trying to catch a rabbit. We had a red setter at that point. We'd always try to get Rua to fucking catch the red setter. He was never going to catch a rabbit. Or just fishing on the beach, never catching a fucking fish, but staying there hours, just casting, not curling. It was just that pure. It was mindfulness without realising it was mindfulness. We were living in a time when boredom was just a part of life. So you became very adapted at just the moment. And so it's been forgotten. We've become so stressed, so focused on tomorrow that we have lost connection with today. And that's what I would say, like the body. If you talk about the Trinity, like the mind, the spirit, and the soul and the body is the only thing that lives in the present. The soul lives in whatever time we live in, whatever era you want to live in. It doesn't matter. It can move. And the mind lives in yesterday's memories or tomorrow's worries. And that's why we're so disconnected, because we are so focused on what happened yesterday, the potential of tomorrow, but we forget that the only thing we've got is the now, here, right now, this moment in time. Nothing else. It's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? It's sad to think that's the way we live, and that's how we've allowed ourselves to evolve and become what we've become. I think we're going to get to a point where we're going to get to our deathbeds, and we're going to look back and regret what we were. We're going to realise that it meant nothing. That everything we worried about, all the panics, all the stress, all the concerns that we had, equated to fucking nothing. It was nothing. 99.9% of it never happened, and the things you thought people thought about you didn't exist, only in your mind. And the freedom was always there, only we didn't give ourselves permission to discover it. Think about this. You cannot get yourself physically strong without testing the body, without stressing it, without going through regular, consistent effort, whether that be labour or actually in the gym. But you need to stress the body in order to produce results, produce growth. And people will do that quite happily because it gives us attention. People will validate our efforts. You lose a stone, you put a picture up on Facebook, look at me, oh my God, amazing chick, unbelievable mate, you're doing well, keep it going, buddy, oh my God, love, you're amazing, blah, blah, blah. That makes us feel better. We need other people to tell us what we need to do. The mind is not, no one in the history of fucking mankind has ever turned around and said to someone, wow, the way you just sat there and didn't move for 20 minutes was so impressive. No one cares. And that's the thing. We are doing the physical because we get validation for doing so. We're doing it from an unconscious perspective, most of us, so that other people tell us we're doing well. But if we were to commit to the same level of meditation and healing our emotions and, releasing the shit, the energy with trapped within us, we would get ourselves to a place where we don't need validation from others. But that means you've got to do something for you. And that means you've got to go through, just like the physical training, you've got to go through these realizations of fuck, you're not where you think you are. You've got to do the same with the mind. But you're not going to get the validation from everyone else. Therefore, there's not really that motivation. Where's she done? There's not really the motivation to do that. Therefore, we are trapped in our own minds. And it's just, you see it over and over again. But here, we'll have to go.